Shalom, shalom. We're going to finish Judges today. We're going to start in chapter 16. About halfway through Samson or so. And Samson went to Azah and saw a woman there, a whore, and went into her. The Azites, saying, Samson has come here. So they went round and lay in wait for him all night at the gate of the city, and kept silent all night, saying, In the morning, when it is daylight, then we shall kill him. Now Samson lay until midnight, and rose at midnight, and took hold of the doors of the gate of the city, and the two gateposts, and pulled them up with the bar, and put them on his shoulders, and took them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. And it came to be afterward that he loved a woman in the Wadi Sarek, whose name was Delilah. And the princes of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, Entice him, and find out where his great strength lies, and see by what we might overpower him. Then we shall bind him to humble him, and let us give you, each one of us, 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, Please reveal to me where your great strength lies, and by what you might be bound, to humble you. And Samson said to her, If they bind me with 7 fresh cords, not yet dried, then I shall be weak, and be like any other man. The princess of the Philistines then brought her 7 fresh cords, not yet dried, and she bound him with them, while those lying in wait stayed with her in the room. And she said to him, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. But he broke the cords as a strand of yarn breaks when it touches fire. So the secret of his strength remained unknown. And Delilah said to Samson, Look, you have mocked me and spoken lies to me. Now, please reveal to me by what you might be bound. And he said to her, If they bind me tightly with new ropes that have never been used, then I shall be weak, and be like any other man. And Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them, and said to him, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. And those lying in wait were sitting in the inner room, but he broke them off his arms like a thread. So Delilah said to Samson, Until now you have mocked me and spoken lies to me. Reveal to me now how you might be bound. And he said to her, If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web, If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web. Then she fastened it with a pin, and said to him, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. But he awoke from his sleep, and pulled out the pin of the loom and the web. Then she said to him, How do you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and you have not made known to me where your strength lies. And it came to be, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his being was wearied to death, that he made known to her all his heart. And said to her, No razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to Elohim from my mother's womb. If I were shaven, then my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man. And Delilah saw that he had made known to her all his heart, and she sent and called for the priests of the Philistines, the princes of the Philistines, saying, Come up once more, for he has made known to me all his heart. So the princes of the Philistines came up to her, and brought the silver in their hand. And she made him sleep on her knees, and called for a man, and shaved off the 7 locks of his head. Thus she began to humble him, and his strength left him. And she said, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he awoke from his sleep, and said, Let me go out as before, at other times, and shake myself loose. But he did not know that Yahweh had turned aside from him. So the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Azah, and bound him with bronze shackles, and he became a grinder in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again after he had been shaven. And the princes of the Philistines gathered to slaughter a great slaughtering to Dagon, their mighty one, and to rejoice. And they said, Our mighty one has given Samson our enemy into our hands. And the people saw him, and praised their mighty one, for they said, Our mighty one has given into our hands our enemy, the destroyer of our land, who slew many of us. And it came to be, when their hearts were glad, that they said, Call for Samson, and let him entertain us. So they called for Samson from the prison, and he entertained them. and they made him stand between the columns. And Samson said to the young man who was holding his hand, "Let me alone, and let me feel the columns which support the house, so that I lean on them." And the house was filled with men and women, and all the princes of the Philistines were there. And about 3,000 men and women were on the roof, who watched Samson entertaining. And Samson called to Yahweh, saying, "O Master Yahweh, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me, I pray, only this time, O Elohim, and let me avenge myself on the Philistines with vengeance for my 2 eyes." And Samson took hold of the 2 middle columns which supported the house, and he breathed himself against one of and he and he braced himself against them, one on his right and the other on his left. And Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." And he bowed himself mightily, and the house fell on the princes and all the people in it. And the dead that he killed at his death were more than he had killed in his life. And his brothers and all his father's household came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Sora and Eshtola in the burial site of his father Manoah. And he had ruled Israel 20 years. And there was a man from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Micaiah. We're just going to call him Mikiyahu. And he said to his mother, "The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, and on which you put a curse, even saying in my ears, 'Look, the silver is with me,' I took it." And his mother said, "Blessed of Yahuwah be my son." And he gave back the 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother, and his mother said, "I had truly set apart the silver from my hand to Yahuwah for my son, to make a carved image and a molded image, and now I give it back to you." And he gave the silver back to his mother, and his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave them to the silversmith, and he made it into a carved image and a molded image. And they were in the house of Mikiyahu. Now the man, Mikiyahu, had a house of mighty ones, and made a shoulder garment and house idols. And he ordained one of his sons, who became his priest. And in those days there was no sovereign in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes, even though they had the Torah, they had the Levites. Anyway, and there was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, of the clan of Judah, and there was a Levite, and he was sojourning there. And the man went out of the city of Bethlehem in Judah to sojourn wherever he could find a place. And he came to the mountains of Ephraim, to the house of Micaiah. Dang, it looks different there. Is it? Yeah, it is. All right, whatever. I'll just do the best I can. We all know it's the same person, I assume. And Micaiah said to him, "Where do you come from?" And he said to him, "I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I am on my way to find a place to sojourn." And Micaiah said to him, "Dwell with me, and be a father and a priest to me, and I give you 10 pieces of silver per year, and a suit of garments, and your food." And the Levite went in. So the Levite agreed to dwell with the man, and the young man became like one of his sons to him. Micaiah ordered the Levite and the young man, and Micaiah ordained the Levite, and the young man became his priest, and he was in the house of Micaiah. Micaiah said, Now I know that Yahuwah does good to me, since I have a Levite as priest." In those days there was no sovereign in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites was seeking an inheritance for itself to dwell in, for until today all their inheritance among the tribe of Israel had not yet fallen to them. And the children of Dan sent 5 men of their clans, brave men from Sora and Eshtaol, to spy out the land and search it. And they said to them, "Go, search the land." And they went to the mountains of Ephraim, to the house of Micaiah, and spent the night there. When they were near the house of Micaiah, they recognized the voice of the young Levite, and turned aside, and said to him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place, and what do you have here?" And he said to them, "Micaiah did such and such for me, and he hired me, and I have become his priest." And they said to him, "Please inquire of Elohim, and we shall know whether the journey on which we are going is prosperous." And the priest said to them, "Go in peace. Your journey on which you go is before Yahuwah." Then the 5 men left and came to Laish, and saw the people who were in their midst, how they dwelt safely according to the ruling of the Sidonians, at rest and unsuspecting, and no one possessing authority in the land was reproaching for any matter. And they were far from the Sidonians, and they had no word with anyone. And the spies came back to their brothers at Soar and Astola, and their brothers said to them, What do you say? And they said, Arise, and let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and look, it is very good. And you sit still. Do not hesitate to enter in to possess the land. When you go, you are to come to an unsuspecting people, and the land is spacious, for Elohim has given it to your hands, a place in which there is no lack of any matter which is on the earth. And 600 men of the clan of the Danites went from Soar and Estola armed for battle. And they went up and camped in Kiriath Yearim in Yehuda. Therefore they called that place Manea Dan to this day. See, it is west of Kiriath Yearim. And they passed over from there to the mountains of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah. And the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land of Laish answered and said to their brothers, Do you know that there are in these houses a shoulder garment, and house idols, and a carved image, and a molded image? And now you know what to do. And they turned aside there, and came to the house of the young Levite man, the house of Micah, and greeted him. And the 600 men, armed for battle, who were of the children of Dan, stood by the entrance of the gate. And the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land went up and entered there, and they took the carved image, and the shoulder garment, and the house idol, and the molded image, while the priest stood at the entrance of the gate with the 600 men who were armed for battle. And these went into Micah's house, and took the idol, and the shoulder garment, and the house idols, and the molded image. Then the priest said to them, What are you doing? And they said to him, Be silent, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us, and be a father and a priest to us. It is better for you to be a priest to the household of one man, or to be a priest to a tribe and a clan in Israel. And the heart of the priest was glad, and he took the shoulder garment, and took the house idols, and the carved image, and took his place among the people. And they turned and went and put the little ones and the livestock and the valuables in front of them. They had gone some distance from the house of Micah when the men who were in the houses near Micah's house gathered together and overtook the children of Dan, and called out to the children of Dan. So they turned around and said to Micah, What is the matter? What is the matter, that you have gathered such a company? And he said, You have taken away my mighty ones which I made, and the priest, and you are leaving. Now what more do I have? What is this you say to me? What is the matter? And the children of Dan said to him, Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest men, bitter of being, fall upon you, and you lose your life with the lives of your household. This doesn't sound very love your neighbor as yourself. And the children of Dan went their way, and when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his house. Then they took what Micah had made, and the priest who had belonged to him, and went to Laish, to a people who were at rest and unsuspecting, and struck them with the edge of the sword, and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverance, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no word with anyone, and it was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob, and they rebuilt the city and dwelt there. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their father, who was born to Israel, but previously the name of the city was Laish. And the children of Dan set up for themselves the carved image, and Jehonathan, son of Gershom, son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day the land was taken into exile. And they put up for themselves the carved image of Micah, which he had made all the days that the house of Elohim was in Shiloh. And it came to be in those days, when there was no sovereign in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the further side of the mountains of Ephraim, and he took for himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Yehuda, and his concubine committed whoring against him, and went away from him to her father's house at Bethlehem in Yehuda, and was there 4 new moons of days. And her husband arose and went after her to speak to her heart and bring her back, having his servant and a couple of donkeys with him. And she brought him into her father's house, and the father of the young woman saw him, and he was glad to meet him. And his father-in-law the young woman's father took hold of him, and he dwelt with him 3 days, and they ate and drank and spent the nights there. And it came to be on the 4th day that they arose early in the morning, and he prepared to leave. But the young woman's father said to his son-in-law, refresh your heart with a piece of bread, and afterward go your way. So they sat down, the two of them ate and drank together. And the young woman's father said to the man, please agree to stay all night, and let your heart be glad. And when the man arose to go, his father-in-law urged him, so he spent the night there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to go, but the young woman's father said, please refresh your heart. So they delayed until morning, and both of them ate. And the man arose to go, but he and his concubine and his servant, and the man arose to go, he and his concubine and his servant. But his father-in-law, the young woman's father, said to him, see, the day is now drawing toward evening. Please spend the night. See, the day is coming to an end. Stay here, and let your heart be glad. And you shall rise early tomorrow for your journey, and you shall go to your tent. But the man would not stay that night, and he arose and left, and came to a place opposite Yebus, that is, Jerusalem. And with him there were 2 saddled donkeys, and his concubine with him. They were near Yebus, and the day was far spent. And the servant said to his master, come, please, and let us turn aside into the city of the Jebusites, and spend the night in it. And the master said to him, let us not turn aside here into a city of foreigners, who are not of the children of Israel, but we shall pass over to Gibeah. And he said to his servant, come, let us draw near to one of these places, and spend the night in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed over and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. So they turned off there to go in to spend the night at Gibeah. So he went in, and he sat down in the open square of the city, for no one would take them into his house to spend the night. But see, an old man came in from his work in the field at evening, who also was from the mountains of Ephraim, and he was sojourning in Gibeah, whereas the men of the places were Benjamites. And when he lifted up his eyes, he saw the traveler in the open square of the city. And the old man said, where are you going, and where do you come from? And he said to him, we are passing over from Bethlehem in Yehudah to the other side of the mountains of Ephraim. I am from there, and I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to the house of Yahweh. But there is no one taking me into his house. Yet there is both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for myself, and for your female servant, and for the young man who is with your servant. There is no lack of any matter. And the old man said, peace be with you. However, let all your needs be on me, only do not spend the night in the open square. And he brought him into his house, and gave fodder to the donkeys, and they washed their feet, and ate and drank. And they were making their hearts glad. And see, men of the city, sons of Belial, surrounded the house, beating on the door. And they spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, bring out the new man who came to your house, so that we know him. This sounds eerily familiar. This sounds like something, I don't know, Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyway. But the master of the house, went out to them and said to them, no, my brothers, I beg you, do no evil. Since this man has come into my house, do not do this folly. Look, here is my maiden daughter and the man's concubine. Let me bring them out now and humble them, and do with them what is good in your eyes, but do not do such a foolish matter to this man. But the men would not listen to him. So the man took hold of his concubine, and brought her out to them, and they knew her, and rolled themselves on her all night until morning, and let her go when the day began to break. And as morning appeared, the woman came back and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was, till it. Goodness gracious, this is just terrible. And as morning appeared, the woman came back and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was, till it was light. And her master rose up in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way, and saw his concubine fallen at the door of the house, with her hands on the threshold. And he said to her, rise up, and let us go. But there was no answer. Then he took her on the donkey, and the man rose and went to his place, and came to his house, and took a knife, then took hold of his concubine, and cut her up limb by limb into 12 pieces, and sent her out all the borders of Israel. And it came to be that all who saw it said, There has never been, and there has never been, and there has not been seen the like of this from the day that the children of Israel came up from the land of Mizraim until this day. Set your heart on it, take counsel, and speak up. And all the children of Israel came out from Dan to Beersheba, and from the land of Gilead, and the congregation assembled at one man before Yahweh at Mitzvah, assembled as one man. And the leaders of all the people and all the tribes presented themselves in the assembly of the people of Elohim, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew their sword. And the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel had gone up to Mitzvah, and the children of Israel said, Speak up, how did this evil come about? And the man, the Levite, husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, My concubine and I went to Geba, which belongs to Benjamin, to spend the night. And the masters of Geba rose against me and surrounded the house at night, and surrounded the house at night because of me. They thought to kill me, but instead they humbled my concubine, and she died. Then I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the land of the inheritance of Israel, because they committed wickedness and folly in Israel. Look, you are all children of Israel. Speak and give your counsel here. And all the people rose as one man, saying, Let not one of us go to his tent, nor any of us turn back to his house. And now this is what we do to Geba. Go against it by lot, and we shall take 10 men out of every 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 out of every 1,000, and 1,000 out of every 10,000, to make food for the people, to prepare for their going to Geba and Benjamin, for all the folly they did in Israel. And all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribes of Benjamin, saying, What is this evil that has come about among you? And now give us the men, the sons of Belial, who are in Geba, so that we put them to death and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the children of Israel. So the children of Benjamin gathered together from their cities to Geba to go to battle against the children of Israel. This is so foolish. This is so foolish. It's what happens when you turn away from Dad. You start doing absolutely foolish things. And from their cities at that time, the children of Benjamin registered 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Geba, who registered 700 chosen men. Among all this people were 700 chosen men who were left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and not miss. And besides Benjamin, the men of Israel registered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these were men of battle. And the children of Israel arose and went to Bethel to ask of Elohim. And they said, Who of us go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin? And Yahweh said, Yehudah first. And the children of Israel rose in the morning and encamped against Geba. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in battle array to fight against them in Geba. And the children of Benjamin came out of Geba, and on that day cut down to the ground 22,000 men of Israel. But the men of Israel, strengthened themselves, and again formed the battle line at the place where they had put themselves in array on the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before Yahweh until evening, and asked of Yahweh, saying, Should I again draw near for battle against the children of my brother Benjamin? And Yahweh said, Go up against him. And the children of Israel drew near to the children of Benjamin on the second day. And Benjamin went out against them from Geba on the second day, and cut down to the ground 18,000 more of the children of Israel. All these drew the sword. And all the children of Israel, even all the people, went up and came to Bethel, and wept, and sat there before Yahweh, and fasted that day until evening. And they offered ascending offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh. And the children of Israel asked Yahweh. The ark of the covenant of Elohim was there, and the children of Israel asked Yahweh. The ark of the covenant of Elohim was there in those days. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar, Eleazar, son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Should I yet again go out to battle against the children of my brother Benjamin, or should I cease? Oh, come on, page. There it is. And Yahweh said, Go up, for tomorrow I give them into your hand. And Israel set ambushes all around Geba. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in battle array against Geba as at the other times. And the children of Benjamin came out to meet the people, drawn away from the city, and they began to strike some of the people, slaying as at other times in the highways, of which one went up to... Goodness, I got the hiccups. Okay, we're going to come back to 31. Give me a second to control myself. And the children of Benjamin came out to meet the people, drawn away from the city, and they began to strike some of the people, slaying, as at other times, in the highways, on which one went up to Bethel, and the other to Geba in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are going to be smitten before us as previously. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee and draw them away from the city to the highways. And all the men of Israel rose from their place and put themselves in battle array at Baal Tamar. And the ambush of Israel broke forth from their position at Geba. And 10,000 chosen men from all Israel came against Geba, and the battle was fierce. But they did not know that calamity was close to them. And Yahweh smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed 25,100 men on that day in Benjamin. All these drew the sword. And the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, and the men of Israel had given ground to the Benjamites, because they trusted in the ambush that they had set up against Geba. And the ambush hurried and came against Geba, and the ambush spread out and struck the entire city with the edge of the sword. And the appointed signal between the men of Israel and the ambush was that they would make a great cloud of smoke rise up from the city. Then the men of Israel would turn in battle, and Benjamin began to strike dead about 30 of the men of Israel, for they said, They are indeed smitten before us as at the first battle. Then the cloud began to rise from the city in a column of smoke, and the Benjamites looked behind them and saw the entire city was going up in smoke to the heavens. And when the men of Israel turned back, the men of Benjamin were troubled, for they saw that calamity was close to them. And they turned their backs before the men of Israel toward the way of the wilderness, but the battle overtook them, while those who had come out of the cities were destroying them in their midst. They surrounded the Benjamites and pursued them with ease, trampled them down as far as the front of Geba toward the east. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were mighty men. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they cut down 5,000 of them on the highways, and followed after them up to Gidom, and struck 2,000 of them. And all who fell of Benjamin that day were 25,000 men who drew the sword. All these were mighty men. But 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they dwelt at the rock of Rimmon for 4 new moons. And the men of Israel turned back against the children of Benjamin, and struck them with the edge of the sword from every city, men and beasts, all who were found. And they set fire to all the cities they came to. Goodness. Sorry, I'm another sip. And the men of Israel had sworn an oath to Mitzvah, saying, Not one of us shall give his daughter to Benjamin as a wife. And the people came to Bethel, and sat there until evening before Elohim, and lifted up their voices, and wept bitterly, and said, O Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, why has this come about in Israel, that today there should be one tribe missing in Israel? You want to know why? Do you really want to know why? And it came to be on the morrow that the people rose early and built a slaughtering place there, and brought ascending offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Israel who did not come up with the assembly of Yahweh? For they had made a great oath concerning anyone who had not come up to Yahweh at Mitzpah, saying, He shall certainly be put to death. And the children of Israel were sorry for Benjamin their brother, and said, One tribe is cut off from Israel today. What do we do for wives for those who remain, seeing we have sworn by Yahweh not to give them our daughters as wives? And they said, Which one of the tribes of Israel did not come up to Mizpah to Yahweh? And see, no one had come to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. For when the people called a roll, see, not one of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead was there. And the congregation sent out there 12,000 of their bravest men, and commanded them, saying, Go, and you shall strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, even the women and children. And this is what you do: put under the ban every male and every woman who has known a man by lying with him. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young maidens who had not known a man, and they brought them to the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then all the congregation sent and spoke to the children of Benjamin, who were at the rock of Rimmon, and proclaimed peace to them. And Benjamin turned back at that time, and they gave them the women who they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead. But even so, there were not enough for them. And the people were sorry for Benjamin, because Yahweh had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. And the elder of the congregation said, What do we do for wives for those who remain, since the women have been destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, There is an inheritance for the survivors of Benjamin, and no tribe is to be destroyed from Israel. But we are unable to give them wives from our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn an oath, saying, Cursed be the one who gives a wife to Benjamin. So they said, See, there is a yearly festival of Yahweh in Shiloh, which is north of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes up from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebona. And they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, Go, lie in wait in the vineyards, and watch, and see what the daughters of Shiloh come out to perform their dances. And you shall come out from the vineyards, and every man catch a wife for himself from the daughters of Shiloh, and go into the land of Benjamin, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when the fathers of their brothers come to us to complain, that we shall say to them, Favor us with them, because we did not take a wife for any of them in battle. Neither have you given them to them, making yourselves guilty of your oath. And the children of Benjamin did so, and took wives for their number from those who danced, whom they caught. Then they went and returned to their inheritance, and they rebuilt the cities and dwelt in them. And the children of Israel went from there at that time, each one to his tribe and clan. And they went from there, each one to his inheritance. In those days there was no sovereign in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. That's so terrible. I don't necessarily understand how we get to that. Bro, we just crossed the freaking Jordan. Oh, that's the end. Wow, look at that. Well, I guess tomorrow we will start 1 Samuel. Yeah, how quick we fall, dude. Like, Phineas, son of Eleazar. Dude, Eleazar is, this is, so the grandson of Aaron is, they're having major problems. By the time, oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Crazy. It's just crazy to think, how quickly they fall. But at the same time, how quickly do we fall? How quick do we turn away and stop doing what he wants us to do? Something to think about. Anyway, in the meantime, may Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. Shalom, shalom.